So I'm going to push record. Ron's like, record it. And I said, well, I'm going to share someone. I just ran across this really good speaker. It's short. It's about 25 minutes. So I'm only going to talk a couple of minutes and I'm going to put him on. And it's so relevant. We've got people all over. And so he talks about building a global business, why it's so important and how awesome it can be to build a global business, and how he built this business globally. But I'm going to start off first with some fun little deals. Like, don't we all love deals? So I want to give you a little heads up on some fun deals in your back office. If now some of these things you'll need to do like a one-time order. If you want to pop in and do your one-time order, you'll pay just a little bit more on shipping. I will give you that little bit of warning. It's a little bit more for shipping, but the savings is still worth it. And then some of these items you can put in your auto ship, so you don't need to. So I'll kind of let you know. But the first thing, I wasn't going to mention these till I knew how long they lasted, because these are transitioning out. But if you wanted to give them a try, we have our chocolates, and I have the regular price is $47. They're down to $23.50. We got in on the deal. I don't know if anybody else did, but that's a great deal for any kind of chocolate. And I'm sad they are phasing these out. They might be bringing them back as supply chain gets a little easier, but they're very healthy, these chocolates. They just have green tea. They're very, purely sourced. They help me with my appetite. Like, I'm going to take one before I go out to a meal. So I love them. So just if you want to get these, realize that they may not be around a long time. So it's kind of, if you want to kind of replace your normal little sweet thing, that's kind of how I order them. So they're half off right now. Pumpkin chai is still around, you guys. $37, and they're usually like 52. So that is still available. I'm surprised. The pumpkin chai, it's plant-based. That's comes down to $2.65 a meal. So I love that one. I like to put a little coffee in it. I do 1 scoop because it's very strong. So some of you might be okay with 2, but I feel like it's a very strong flavor. So we have that. And then, does anybody use e-shots? Have you ever heard of the e-shots before? There are these little boxes right now. The raspberry you can get for $16 a box. Michelle loves these things. So
those are the raspberry watermelon, right?
What'd you say?
Those are the raspberry watermelon?
They're just raspberry flavored. They don't say watermelon. So, and Greg, if I'm telling you anything that's not in your Canadian catalog, please forgive me, because I think they're merging all the catalogs, so we don't have all that issue, but this is what's available US. So
I'll admonish you later.
But anyway, they're these little bottles. What are they? They're a healthy form of energy. So caffeine gets a very bad rap because a lot of times caffeine is sourced in a bad way, or it's married with sugars and things. Caffeine is what that goes right to your cells. So if you have sugar or something that's unhealthy and you're slamming that to your cells, it is not good. But this is a healthy source of caffeine. It comes from the yerba mate plant. And there's lots of other adaptogens in it. We always hear about the adaptogen elixir. A lot of those same things are in here. So you're not going to get like an amped up energy. You get a calm, rested energy. So I love these, and $16 a box is a great deal. Does anybody use essential oils? We're not going to have them around a super long time, but frankincense is a very expensive oil. Yeah. It's usually 70 some dollars. Right now you can get it for $44.10. Like, we are like stocking up on it as much as we can. Any of these things I'm telling you that are deals, when you look, it will not show that it's a deal. When you add it to your cart, it will be discounted price. So just know that you put it in your cart and then you'll see the discounted price. So that's it on the deals. Now this one, I think Michelle uses this as well. I don't know if anyone else does the sleep spray. Like, literally there's people that like kind of build their team on this sleep spray. I know it sounds crazy. It is $18. That's not a sale. That's the regular price. So this could be put on your auto ship, and you just spray it under your tongue. And it's got a really cool combination of like melatonin, herbs, things like that. And I know somebody did kind of a research one time that if you were to get everything in this little bottle, you'd have to buy 2 or 3 different items at like a Whole Foods or a Sprouts or something. So you're getting a great blend that really helps people. And so, Michelle, has anyone else used this sleep spray before? No. So definitely if you hear
I'm
about
the only maniac that goes from time zone to time zone to time zone.
but like you live with this, right? Like you are like, so Heather's saying her screen's disappearing. Is anybody else having that issue?
Well, I'm here. I'm losing my audio.
Huh. Maybe go sign out and sign back in, Heather, if
Okay.
you want to. It's up to you. So, but I just wanted to share some of these fun, like little ideas because, okay, we've got one more person coming in here. I think Heather signed off and then she signed back in, just to maybe just always know if you have issues, if you sign out and sign back in, just sometimes you get a better line. It's like kind of like when you call and you get a bad connection. So I just want to give you a little insight of like some more of those pantry type items that you can add in. We don't always have to have the large dollar items to get, what if somebody just wants to start with this? Let them, that's totally fine. Let them just start with a sleep spray. And you can always order it from your account and drop ship that to them also. You don't always have to start an account for them. So, you know, it's about meeting everyone's needs. Everyone can afford an $18 item. I mean, look at Target anymore. Look at when you like walk through their health aisles or their beauty aisles, it's like $25 for probably a product that isn't really that great of quality. So prices are going up. So we can find little gems to kind of help people use our products and dip their toe in. Some people just need to try one thing and then they have faith in that and then they will invest in more. So I'm going to share the screen. So who we're going to listen to, his name is, not to be confused with Dr. Wayne Dyer or Dr. Wayne Dyer. If we know who that is, he's not around anymore, but he was a huge motivator and I don't know all of his credentials, wrote books and, you know, did all kinds of great things. But this guy's name is Dwayne Dyer. Now, I'll give you a little background. Our company now basically is 3 companies merged in one. It's very fascinating. There was this little company named Zango, and it was all based on mangosteen. If you've ever heard of the mangosteen fruit, it was just a drink. That company went huge and big. And so, but they had some people at the top that were embezzling. So that company kind of financially went under. So this company named Zija bought Zango. Well, Zija had a great product line, kind of I don't think there was embezzlement with Zija, but just financially they weren't, because of their comp plan, you know, they weren't doing real well. So Isogenics came along and purchased Zija in 2020, I believe, 2019 or 2020. This gentleman that we're going to listen to, he's been in Zango since 2003. He stayed on for the whole time. So he has been in Zango. When Zango got bought by Zija, he was in Zija till Zija got bought by Isogenics. So this guy has some staying power. What would most of us do if our company got bought out like that? Like if we weren't Zango, most of us would probably leave, but he stuck the course. So let me share the screen and I will get this started. Okay, guys, this is not on here now. Hold on. Okay, here it is. Oh no, Team Freedom. I had it all set too. Okay, let's see if we can share. And oh, we're on whiteboard. Oh no, hold on.
You need to call a
I
tech guy.
literally had this all saved, you guys. I promise. Let's see. Let me go to Isogenics business. I even practiced like sharing it.
You need to call the tech guy, Allie.
What'd you say? Oh,
You
it's
need to
here.
call
It's
a tech
here.
guy.
Okay, it's here. Hold on. Okay, so it's there. But now I've got to get it sharing, share screen. Why is it saying Zoom and notes? Okay, Zoom is not letting me pick Facebook. Okay. Share. Are you guys seeing my screen now? Yes, it's working.
Mhm.
Yay, I
We're gonna
got
talk
it.
about two things today.
Can you guys all hear him?
Next little, that we
Yeah.
maybe 30 minutes together. We're going to talk about, why build a big global international business and how to build a global international business. And hopefully, we'll trigger something in you that will, spark an interest, or even perhaps give you that one good idea that you were looking for that might be the key that unlocks, a new chapter in your Isogenics business. I got to say, I love Isogenics. This is Love Day, right? And with Love Day, I just came back from a trip to Portugal and Spain, working with our team there. I see some of our members on there, so I want to give a shout out to them. And that was about 3 or 4 weeks ago. And then last week I was in Japan, Tokyo, Miyazaki with our team there. It's so exciting to get back together. You could feel the love because they want to be back together. They want to have meetings. And I think this 2023 is just going to be an amazing year for our businesses and our industry because we're coming back together. We've put this COVID thing behind us for the most part, and off we go. So I got to tell you about my very first love. I mean, come on, I was 10, 11 years old, and I fell in love. And yes, my very first love was baseball. I love baseball. I slept with my glove. This isn't my glove that I slept with, but this is a glove that I have now. But I loved baseball, and I got to admit, I was pretty good at it. If Chris Estes, my sponsor, and David Moses, his sponsor, you guys are on the call, maybe you've heard the story, or Chris, you could probably get some coaching here, from what I'm about to tell you, because I was pretty good. I mean, I played virtually third base, shortstop, second base. I even pitched for a couple of years. And I was always ranked in the top 4 or 5 batters in the entire little league that we were in. And I don't say that to brag. I think Yogi Berra, the great baseball catcher, one time said, if you've done it, it ain't bragging. But I got to admit, I was pretty good. I didn't hit very many homers because I was kind of short, not short, but I was thin, and but I had a lot of base hits. In fact, they used to post the roster all the time about base hits, and I was always in the top 5 in the league for base hits. So anyway, my Spain team, my Japan team that might be on the call, I recently told this story, so I got to forewarn everybody else that hasn't heard this story. It does have a very tragic ending. This is a tragic love story. This is like on the par of William Shakespeare and Romeo and Juliet kind of tragedy, because we got into the championship game, and back then, it was just single game elimination. They didn't go to 3 games and 7 games, 5 games. It was just single game elimination. You go on, you get it all, or you get nothing. And so we got to the championship game, and somehow we were getting slaughtered. We were down like 15-3, and we were heading to the very last innings. And that last inning, we rallied, and we rallied big, and we rallied and we rallied. Everybody that came to bat got a hit, and we just kept hitting and kept hitting and kept hitting. Our whole team kept hitting. Well, sure enough, bottom of the last inning, we're down by 1 run, 15-14. 2 outs, and yours truly comes to bat. And I've already told you this is a tragic ending, so you already get the gist of what happens. But what happened was one of those filters in your life that gets put into place. So we all look at life through filters, and filters happen at a very young age 3, 4, 5, 7, 10. These filters are being put in place, and we start looking at life through filters, through these life events that happen to us. And so unless we change those filters or get a different viewpoint, they can stick with us. And so, I got up there, and somehow the number 4 or 5 batter in the league, the bat froze on his shoulder. It wouldn't move. It literally froze. And I got struck out on 3 straight pitches. Any one of those pitches, I could have hit for a base hit, possibly tied or scored the running game. I can't tell you how many times I relived that moment, almost my entire life. And in my moment of reliving it, I'm a hero. I hit a grand slam, home run, everybody scores, I'm on somebody's shoulders, and we win the championship game. That's not happened. And so I decided to take that filter and do something with it. And what I decided to do was never be in a position where the bat would freeze on my shoulder again. I was going to swing at every pitch. It doesn't matter. I've learned it doesn't matter if you hit or if you miss. at least you swung the bat. And so when I get a telephone call that says, hey, you want to do a vision call for Isogenics? Absolutely, I'm there. I'm going to swing that bat. It might be a base hit. It might be a grand slam. I might strike out. But you know what? Doesn't matter. I'm going to swing that bat every single time I get an opportunity. I took this further. Next slide. I went into, I started to fly, and I was flying a lot, you know, developing the business. My corporate job took me to international markets, and I had this fear of flying. And I thought, man, I got to get over this fear of flying. How am I going to do that? And then the filter said, hey, you got to do it. You've got to figure out what's going on in that cockpit. And so what did I do? I went down, signed up for pilot lessons, and I went to the ground school. I learned about what goes on. And then I started flying an airplane. Then I started to fly solo. Dwayne Dyer solo is my solo flight. The company came out and filmed it with a couple of video cameras because I think they thought there was going to be a disaster and then they could catch the whole thing on video. But no, it turned out to be a great experience because what I learned was a lot of strategic thinking. And I learned that number one, planes have a lot of redundant systems. Number two, you really can overcome your fear of flying and fear of heights by learning more about it and by doing it. I mean, that's how you kill fears, by actually doing it. And so I learned that, you know, with your instructor sitting next to you, he would say things like, and I'm sorry, translators, I know I speak fast because I have a lot to say in the 30 minutes that we have together. So I appreciate you. Whatever I say, you just paraphrase it and make it sound better. But what I learned was your instructor is going to say to you, what are you going to do next? What are you going to do next? If this engine turns off and you have no more, you know, your power ends, what are you going to do next? What are you going to do when you enter the pattern? When are you going to start your radio call? You know, when are you going to put down your flaps? You know, if you're touch and go, when are you going to rotate? When are you going to take off again? It's all about what are you going to do next? And we started doing that so much that I started to think that way. What am I going to do next? What am I going to do next? And it translated right into my business. What am I going to do next with my business? What am I going to do next? And so I realized, you know, you really can conquer what you need to do next in order to build this business. So let's talk a little bit more about why build a global business. Next slide. So when we look at our time, we look at linear time versus leveraged time. Linear time is simply time that we trade for our remuneration. So there's nothing wrong with that. We can make a very good income lifestyle by trading our time, but eventually what happens is you hit a ceiling. Either you have to look for that promotional opportunity, or you just reach a ceiling where you just can't do anymore because there's just not enough time. Leverage time, now, interestingly enough, about 95% of people in existence live on linear time. That's how they manage their budgets, their lifestyle. But it's interesting to note that 5% of the world's most wealthiest individuals have learned how to work on leveraged time. Now, leveraged time means that you're magnifying more than what you have through, say, your interest on savings or your investment in the stock market, or you're leveraging your time so that you can create more time for what you do. Now, when I worked in Japan, Japan is 17 hours ahead. And so when I come back to the US and my team is 17 hours ahead, it means that they're working while I am resting and getting myself ready for the next day. Our team in Europe, same thing. They are 7, 8, 9, 10 hours ahead in Europe, same day. Japan's a day ahead, so that's even more fun because they could, if they sponsor someone and they purchase product and BV flows to the organization, then that BV is coming in a day ahead than my day. And I love that because what you're doing is you're learning to leverage you. You're making more of what I call a door stretcher. You're able to create more of you. And this is one of the reasons why I wanted to get into an international business very early on. I wanted to learn how to leverage my time. So how did we do it? Okay, so when we started out, I knew that we wanted to be in markets, our own market. And so we started right here. But I knew that we could also start right here, and there must be connections to other global markets. So sure enough, the company was in the process of entering international markets in Asia and in Europe. And so I decided, I don't speak English very well, as you can tell. My translators can attest to that. I don't speak any other language. I'd take 2 years of Spanish. And all I remember, since this is Valentine's Day, was that my Spanish teacher in the 7th grade was very attractive. And so I didn't learn very much Spanish. But the thing that I realized is that there are international speakers right where we are. So I knew there was a university just about 8 miles down the road from where I resided. And I thought, I bet you there are some Japanese speaking graduate students down there that could probably, help me to translate some information. What did I want translated? A welcome letter telling a little about who I was, a little bit of concise letter from, there was information on the company's website, but I wanted to have more concise information, if you will, kind of just paraphrase a little bit about the product and a little bit about the compensation plan, a little about how to sign up and get started. So basically 4 pages I needed translated from what I had from the corporate site. And I always recommend using the corporate material because that's what's been approved. That's what's already gone through the legal review. And so I feel safe using that information, especially in these international markets. So I took these 4 pages that I had concisely written, and I found a graduate student in the Japanese department, a fine young lady, and I asked her if she would translate the 4 pages. She said she would, and she charged me $50 per page. I learned later on that she overcharged me by about double from what other graduate students, but that was okay. I didn't know, and I was happy to pay the $200 and get 4 pages translated. Then I asked her the question, do you want to join me on our team? And she said, no, I don't want to do that at all. So I do what I always do. I followed up with, do you know anyone who might want to join me in this? And she said, well, my friend Shinobu might. And I said, okay, great. So I got Shinobu's phone number and I called Shinobu. And Shinobu said, Dwayne, I'd love to do that with you, but I can't. I'm the Japanese manager, the order entry manager for the company that I currently work with. And I would lose my employment if I did that, and I can't risk that. I have 2 children, single mom. She says, I can't do that. And so I did what I always do. I said, well, anybody who might want to join me that speaks Japanese? And she said, well, my friend Hedaway Hasagawa might. So called Hedaway, and Hedaway said, yeah, I'll take a look at it. She goes, my family lives in Japan. What I didn't know was her heart was still in Japan. Now, she lived 8 miles literally away from me, but her heart was in Japan. And so as we started showing her the opportunity, she lit right up. She understood the business opportunity. She said, man, I love network marketing. I want to get, going with you. Fast forward, I think we have one of the largest organizations in Japan. All started 8 miles away locally. All started with a $200 fee to translate some pages into Japanese, which probably I really didn't have to do, but I thought, okay, I'm going to do it. So, fast forward, when we were entering CIS and Eastern Europe markets, I thought, well, that formula worked. Maybe I could do it again. Sure enough, went down there, found a Russian-speaking individual. He helped me design the same 4 pages, basically a letter of introduction. We started sending it off. What I got was a lot of marriage proposals. People said, oh, we want to marry you. I said, okay, great. This isn't working. And then a lot of free product. People were saying, yeah, we need, please send us free product. Please send us free. I said, no, that's not working either. He said, well, let me, because I kept consulting with him a little bit about how we could change this and make it work a little better. And he said, well, let me start with my family. He said, my parents, and let's go there. And so anyway, we went there, went to his family, and sure enough, they did a little, recruiting around, and pretty soon we had, and the power of the business is that it may not be your personal, but it may be 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 or 20 or 50 or 100 levels down, but somebody is going to be your spark. Like Kathy Coover says, you drive the line. When I say drive the line, and I know she means the same thing, is that you learn about who's in your organization. You learn their skills, their talents. You find out who has maybe international connections. And so sure enough, we went down there, we started, and fast forward at our peak in the CIS markets, we are generating more than 6 million PV or BV per month. in the organization. That's a lot of volume that was coming out of CIS markets. Now, with international as a risk, of course, the ruble could go down, the products could become too expensive. But I'll tell you what, to this day, I don't know how many years later, fast forward, we still have teams that have relatives signed up in countries like Poland and now Romania and other countries around there where they are just customers because they just like to use the product, but there's a lot of volume that continues to flow through those markets. And some of these people will travel 4 or 5. I know, Corbett, it's legal. These are customers who are just using the product and they're getting it from their relatives. But some of these people are literally risking their lives to drive 4 or 5 hours to get product and then drive back so that they can consume the product that they love so much, that they've used for so many years. And so if you do it right, if you keep asking yourself, what am I going to do next? What if the ruble goes down? What if they close this market? What's our plan B? What can we do? Now, I want to share with you a couple of other things that I think that are just key here in about the last 10, 15 minutes that we have together. Recently, I was in Spain. We were in Madrid doing a meeting about 3 weeks ago. Great team there. I see a lot of them on the team on the call here. I appreciate that. Appreciate the support. And one of our bubbly gals, I'll just call her Sandra. She usually is so bubbly and so upbeat and so excited about the business. And she came out, she was a little bit, depressed a little bit. And she just didn't have that light in her eyes that I was used to seeing doing meetings. And this team is from the Canary Islands, which is part of Spain. And I thought, what's going on here? So she said, what can I do to get my business going? I just seem to be stale in my business. I don't seem to have, the thing. And I said, well, let's talk about this. I said, in Europe, one of the fastest growing markets we have right now is Romania, because Romania, they're hungry. They're looking for opportunity. This is relatively new to them. They want the business. Hungary is another country like that. Poland is another country like that. And other, more Eastern European countries are looking for the opportunity. Sometimes we get so spoiled and so comfortable here that we forget that there's people in the world that will drive 4 and 5 hours just to pick up the product they love and risk, getting shelled in doing so because they love the product so much. They've actually sent Zoom calls holding up product as they drive the car, across the countryside, getting back to their home. And it just kind of warms your heart a little bit because you realize, hey, if they can do that, I can certainly be bold enough to do it myself. So I said to Sonia, I said, tell me a little bit about, because Romania said, well, as soon as I said Romania, she perked right up and she said, my grandmother is from Romania. And I didn't know my grandmother. She actually passed away or moved away. I don't remember quite what now, but she said, when I was just a young girl, I don't really remember her. And so I said, Sandra, you have people right here within 10 miles of your home that speak Romanian, that love Romania, that maybe have family in Romania. I said, how do we tap into that? And she said, well, I don't know. How do we tap into that? And I said, well, let me tell you what I did. So I explained her a little bit of the story. And I said, I'm actually taking that a little bit further. When we got into Norway, we ran a little advertisement with our team so that each one of us would only have to put in just $50 or so to create a $200-300 ad. And we just said, multinational company expanding into Norway, seeking Norwegian speaking individuals. Please send CV or resume to, and we put a PO box. And we got about 50, 70 applications in. And from those applications, we actually, gave everybody 5, handed them out. And from there, we sponsored an individual in Norway that took us into Norway. And I said, that's what I would do. Sandra, I'd get with your team. I find out what Romanian groups you have. And it's like the law of attraction. I really do believe in the law of attraction. You go out and buy a yellow Volkswagen Beetle, and pretty soon you'll notice every yellow Volkswagen Beetle that you've ever seen existed where you never saw them before. And I think if you just kind of put that out there to the universe and you say, okay, I need Romanian speaking individuals, you'll find them everywhere. You'll find them, they will come and you advertise for them, or you look for the Romanian soccer clubs, you look for, in our home in Dallas, we had a cricket club that was right behind our house. It was international. The players would come from all over. You just look for those opportunities and they start to come. And then you get with your people and you say, how can we build a strategic business plan to start building a business there. And, you know, if COVID taught us anything, is that you can continue to run and sustain a large global business using the tools that we have. Zoom calls, three-way calls. Oh my God, goodness. I look at my telephone and I have 10 communication apps on my phone. WhatsApp, Line, Messenger, FaceTime, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. 10 different apps on how to communicate with people. And they're all very good and very effective. I just learned recently on WhatsApp how to actually voice text a message in English and have it translated automatically for me in Spanish and then send it in Spanish and then, or any language. WhatsApp has, and it's an amazing thing. Just Google it. How do I translate my language into another language on WhatsApp? And you'll see how easy it is to do. And so instantly you can start communicating just like you're in Star Trek and have one of those things hanging around your neck where they can talk and just understand each other perfectly. That's probably a couple of years out still.
Okay, so I stopped it because we're getting, okay, I'm going to stop the share. There we go. I don't know about you, but I just really thought that he did an amazing job of just really inspiring anybody. I don't care where you are, just brand new, or if you're experienced and you feel a little stagnant, where to go next. Like, just to overview, I mean, you know, we all look through filters, right? Like, we have had certain successes or certain disappointments. So we look through those filters instead of trying to redo the filters, right? And I think, Michelle, I think you've hit on a lot of this with just the little bits that you've given us, right? Like how it has to start here, how you just, like, you have to lean into your fears, right? You can't let your fears keep you from going forward. And when you really see what this business can do for people's finances and their health, the only thing that's holding you back from shouting this out to many people a day is your fear, is what we are, our personal fears is what's doing it. I don't know if, Michelle, you want to just hop in on, I just felt like listening to him was listening to a lot of what you say in your, in a lot of mindset you've had to have your successes.
I don't know what you want me to talk about.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. I just wanted to highlight what he said. And I think the biggest thing also I wanted to share is look how resourceful people can be, right? Like, I didn't even think about finding a university. Like, if, guys, Romania is the hottest market right now. If you're afraid to build here in the United States, I'm happy to help collaborate with you to find someone that has a connection at a university, and we can do what he's done and get some material out there and find someone. And the biggest thing I loved, and I'm guilty of not doing this, and I'm going to start, when you get a no, when you get someone that doesn't want your product and doesn't want your business, do you ask them, do you know someone that would?
Well,
don't.
actually, you know, the joke on that one that works even better, when someone says, I don't want to know anything about what you're doing, I don't do that. And say, well, is there someone you don't like that you'd like to connect me to? And it's funny because they'll laugh and say, actually, I do know someone I don't really like, and they will give you that name. And the thing is that person more than likely will say yes. Don't say where you got them from, but you build a relationship that way because it's funny. But yeah.
Yes, but I just love success is just being resourceful. He was scared of heights. So what does he do? He becomes a pilot, and then he's not as scared of heights anymore. So whatever you're scared of that's keeping you back from this business, from opening conversations with people about the products, if you're comfortable with that, you cannot walk out the door and not run into someone on your right and someone on your left that either is dealing with stress, depression, not sleeping, their hair falling out, they want better skin, they want to lose weight, they want mental clarity. Like, literally, you can't. Every single person, if I went and knocked on my neighbor's doors and I'm taking a survey, do you sleep well? Do you have mental, you know what I'm saying? Like, it just takes us opening up that conversation with someone and saying, you know what, I don't know if this would help you, but I know it's helped a ton of people. Do you want some information? That is it. If you want to do the product, same with the business. I don't know if this business is for you. And when they look at it, go, oh, I don't want to do a business. I got so much on my plate and I don't have time. I don't have money. Who do you know? When you see that, who do you envision that this might be for? So that was just the big thing. And I love that linear versus leverage time, how that graphic was up there, because just to reiterate those stats, 95% of people operate on that linear model, but the 5% wealthiest people, they operate on the leveraged model, real estate, stocks. Their money is earning while they're sleeping. I don't have $1 million to put into rental properties. I don't have $1 million to put into the stock market, but I can bet on me and my efforts to build something that's going to pay me out in a leveraged model. So I loved that. And then I'll just wrap up, but like, what's your next step? I love that. He said that many times. What am I going to do next? So I want to empower all of you. Don't get stuck with the bad up here. If you struck out a few times, gotten, a string of no's, or kind of your bat is frozen when you thought, I don't want to send them that message, I don't want to say something, swing that bat, and just the more you swing it, the more comfortable you're going to be at it. So anyway, just wanted to inspire us into action so that we can bless more lives, bless more bodies, bless more bank accounts, wherever people's needs are. And Ron and I are always here to help you with three-way conversations. They're a lot less on the spot than doing a three-way call. I love three-way calls, but some people are apprehensive. They're going to be hard closed. And you guys all know we don't hard close anyone. We're too busy to chase people. We talk to so many that we just, the people that want it, great, the people don't. So use us as tools, and we are happy to talk to your people, even through three-way texting, if you don't know what to say. So does anybody have any questions before we pop up? Yes, Michelle.
I have a great idea.
Yes.
E-shots, $16 a box. How many are in a box?
6 of them.
Okay, so 6 divided by 16, how much is that?
I think I figured it out. It's like $2.50, isn't it?
So it's less than a cup of coffee in America, at least. So if you carry around those 6, a box of them, and you go to a networking meeting, you go anywhere where people are getting kind of tired, or it's too early in the morning, or you're at a meeting that's late, drink one slowly in front of everyone else, like it's casual. And they'll do, what are you drinking? And say, oh, it's my little energy shot. It's all natural and blah, 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 blah. And then they do, really? You do, yeah. You want to try one? I've got more. And you let them have it. It will hit them within 20 minutes, and they'll do, I'm not jittery. I'm just awake.
Yes. Wasn't that one of the products that we actually got you sold on at our house when we were chatting?
Actually, you got me sold on it because I had never heard of it. What sold me was when I was in Europe, I couldn't sleep. I couldn't adjust to the time change. And the woman I was rooming with said, here, spray this stuff on your tongue. And she sprayed it on my tongue. Within 20 minutes, I was trying to play my game on my phone. I went, what is that stuff? I can't stay awake. And I'm like, okay, whatever it is, I'm going to buy it. And when I came back, I was talking to you guys. And then you're like, oh, you should try the energy shot. I'm like, I don't need energy. I'm hyper enough. And you said, but you should at least try it. So I drank like 2 sips of it and gave the other half to my partner who was falling asleep. And like 20 minutes, we're like, I'm not tired. Are you tired? He goes, no. I'm like, that is wild. And so that's how you hooked me on that. But I already like the isogenic stuff.
Yes. So those are all great ideas. So if I send you a message, what are you doing next in your business? How are you swinging your bat today? Don't miss out on any opportunities. Swing that bat every chance you can. So,
and I'm serious with this whole, if you want to reach out to other countries, if you want to reach to other people, go into Facebook, if you have Facebook, and go to friends, and in the search bar, say friends in, and pick a country, pick a city. It will tell you everyone on your friends list in that city or in that country. And you can write them directly and say, I was just thinking about you, and I'd love to pamper you with something, and send them something really small that you get to buy in bulk easier.
Yes, lead with service, lead with value, lead with giving, lead with, giving somebody something first. I love that. So, and did you guys love that WhatsApp feature? Like I have to try that where you can speak in English, whatever you want. Because we had a couple people that speak Spanish and Ron and I just really couldn't get them. And I think if they could hear our, kind of hear our voice and have something more fluent than just using the translator app. Like, I love that idea of being able to talk in there and have it instantly translate to whatever language. So anyway, we're already 11 minutes past. I love it when you guys all come on. I love the energy and, let's go. Let's take action. What's our next step in our business and our health, all of it. So love you guys. Bye.
Good
Good night.
night. Thank you.